Was due to come here last year, and we'll talk about that, but would you welcome Canadian saddle bronc rider extraordinaire Rodeo is here this evening. Rod, look at that jacket, boy.
All right. Calgary Stampede.
Rod, before you even sit down, stand up, let's turn around and take a look at this.
There's only about 8 of these jackets right now, but there's going to be a bunch of them in there.
The Calgary Stampede right there, yes.
Year 100.
Yeah, the 100. They need more.
Donnie's water broke. All right, let's...
Touche.
We've been waiting on that to happen, and he's been right there.
You know, he's working on the range, isn't he, Dan? Yeah.
Rod, we started talking about last year, but we'll let you tell the story of...
That's funny.
of coming in here. Last year you qualified 20th National Finals Rodeo, but in June, I'll have you describe the injury that you suffered.
Yeah, it was a tough one. It was just unfortunate. I've been bucked off quite a few times and know how to get away and get out. This is one of them deals. A really great horse, but it was bucking harder at the whistle than at the start. So I knew I needed to be wide open too, as there's 87 points with winning the rodeo, so I knew I had to do as good a job as I could. And right towards the whistle, I was kind of overextended and kept my feet going and got her in the neck one last time, and the whistle went, and she blew me out over and it rolled my foot. And as she bucked me off, it just spun my body, and my foot stayed solid. So, and I thought I kind of tore some ligaments up the way it just twisted, and I don't know, it's probably, we'll have to do a little work on it and tighten some ligaments up. And so went the next morning to the sports medicine guys in Calgary, and they're moving around. He says, it doesn't feel like ligaments. They took a picture of it. And
He went the next morning.
There's about 35 pieces, I guess, from here up to here.
35 pieces.
Yeah, it was scattered up.
Some kind of it was called a spiral fracture.
Yeah, no, it was more of an explosion. It went from here up to here.
That's what I'd have called it.
But they put it back together pretty good, and it healed up pretty good. But they had to take some of the stuff out, and that's what ended up being a little shorter there. So if anybody saw me here last year, it was a little crooked, and a lot crooked. And so then they had to go in after March of this year. They went back in and put some wedges in there and shimmed it up and did a wheel alignment and got her all straightened out. It feels really good. Oh yeah, it's good. It's straight. It's strong. It wants to go. The thing it doesn't want to do is go back all the way, which everybody says the money's in the main anyway. I got a feeling if it doesn't come back all the way, it might not work that great. But I'm still working on it. They're being dependent on it. And
I know that it's working. You're turning his toes out. I mean, is it going to get some more bronc riding, or?
Well, that's my goal. My goal is to get it back to 100%, and I think if you don't work hard at it now, well, you know, it's never going to be. So, you know, I want it to be as good as it can be for the rest of my life, whether it rides broncs or not. But I definitely felt that, you know, I think if I felt I was going downhill at the time that the injury happened, that I may be okay with just being done with it. But I felt I was still riding pretty good, and I had a pretty good lead in world standings when it did happen, and I kind of felt I was riding as good as I ever had in my life. So that's kind of where a guy feels that, you know, you'd want to come back and give another try, because I didn't really feel like I was going downhill yet, right?
That's where you got to come back. That's what we talk about the winner all the time. You know, Donnie and I've talked about it. You can be down, but when you're hurt, when you get hurt on the top, you didn't have a pretty good lead. You had a big lead, and you were riding good, and you know that you can come back if your body will let you. And when you get to that point, that's when it's self-satisfaction. That's what Donnie talks about all the time, about getting up out of bed and proving that you're a winner. If your body will let you, there's no doubt in the world that you'll be back here again. You just got to get to that point.
Yeah, and it's going to take work, and it's painful going through the therapy and pushing it and getting it all the way it is. But I mean, in the end, when you can walk into this rodeo and get on, and it's quite a feeling when you get on at this rodeo and be successful and stuff, and it's addictive, and you know it's hard to say that you're not going to at least make a 100% effort to get back.
Rod, it's painful to have a real job that's not rodeo and riding broncs. So if you can get well and get back, I say, and I think I told Joe this a number of times whenever he was thinking about quitting. I'm telling him, don't quit until you absolutely, positively can't win anything anymore. I'll promise you. There's a lot more life after you stop winning than you think there is.
What I wanted quickly, because I'm going to bring out a couple of guys here to tell a Rod Hay story or two, but it's a family business for Rod Hay. His brother came to the National Finals Rodeo 4 times. Brother-in-law, Glenn O'Neill's a world champion as well. You have 3 sons. What I want to ask you is, are they in the business as well? Do they rodeo?
Oh, the middle one's riding steers up there now, and he's
All right.
he's a pretty good steer rider. The older ones, he broke his arm a couple times riding steers, and he's decided that his hockey career is more important to him right now, and he's interested in, you know, maybe when he gets older, but it's something that if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. It's not a huge deal, but they're athletic and they're ranch kids, and so I would imagine they'll try it, but it's hard for me to say for sure. But that's the one thing that has really helped me through this year and a half being, you know, I thought life is going to be really boring without rodeo. You know, it's just, you're used to being on the road 200 days a year and lots of excitement and lots of challenges every day, and all of a sudden that doesn't happen, but then all of a sudden you find out what you've been missing at home with 3 kids, and I don't know how my wife kept things rolling there. It's pretty nuts there, and so we've really, the transition hasn't been that hard as far as being bored or anything like that. It's almost the other way. So, but I don't know. I would really like, the thing about rodeos is so enjoyable, and I think that's more than anything. You miss all your friends, and you miss, you know, you don't miss the late night drives, but you kind of miss the challenges every day and pushing yourself to be
sure do.
Since you brought that up, late night drives. You know, everybody likes to come to this show to learn the other things about people besides, we know he rides broncs good, right? There's 2 people, and I always wonder about this, if they shorten your leg or if it got weaker. There's 2 people, if you catch a ride to a rodeo with, you can beat the charter planes, okay? It's Monty Lewis and Rod Hay. I caught a ride with Rod Hay from Casper, Wyoming, one night. They had to wait on me because I was in the team roping after the bronc riding and stuff. We were headed to Calgary the next day, the short go. There were people that got on an airplane that I ate breakfast with the next morning in Calgary, and we drove. So if anything that right leg might do, it might shorten it a little bit on the gas pedal, but it won't hurt his bronc right now, and I got faith in him.
There's a couple of guys that I want to bring out here, Joe, that might have a Rod Hay story, and I'm thrilled that these guys are here. I'm honored to always be up here with the best. Are you want to say something?
Yeah,
you want to say
do.
something smart or what?
No, actually,
How you want to take that?
No, I mean, because I wanted you to get these guys to come on out
Yes.
and everything, because to talk about the 100th anniversary of the Calgary
Yes.
Stampede. You know, because
Exactly.
they got some really good look out.
Let's bring these guys out. Oh my Lord, yes, right here. 24 times Bob Tallman's announced the National Finals Rodeo, 16 times point Paul Hamus right here. Give these guys a hand, will ya?
So before we talk about Roddy, did his water break really?
Shut up.
So the first gay man is going to have a baby. Can donate you to science. You look pregnant.
It's starting, isn't it? Bob Tallman, I want you to tell a Calgary and a Rod Hay story, if you will. Yeah, keep
Bob,
talking.
I wish you could get some.
Check.
Bob,
There you go.
I wish you could get some good help with Mr. P90X over here.
I didn't do the X.
Yeah, I mean, that's good.
Mine is X.
I feel good.
I mean, he's been doing that P90X, and he's been here, and he's been sick all week long. I'm sitting there going, man, I ain't doing that.
Yeah, it doesn't do anything, you know, for the flu. You want a Rod Hay story?
I do from you because of your connection with Calgary and this
Well,
guy.
I've been watching him since he was like 12 years old. He and his brother Danny. And did you talk about Danny at all?
We just mentioned that.
Because I'll tell you something. He is a multi times champion and should be a world champion 2 or 3 times. But I'll tell you, the guy that may try harder than he does, and he knows what I'm talking about, I've seen Denny Hayes spur a horse so hard, try so hard, buck him off over the fence in a Coliseum at Regina or
Well, that was at Edmonton.
Yeah,
right over, didn't touch a rail or anything.
Never even touched the rail. That's how, you talk about cowboying up and trying, just reach and jab and stuck him out in one stirrup over the top, 6'6" panel into about the third or fourth row. And so you don't just get Denny, you don't just get Rod. You get Rod, Denny, their mom, their dad, their sister. This is an entire family. And this is where try and the concept of cowboying up. The only 2 times he got hurt was when that leg exploded, although we've been watching in the back. And one time when he fell out of an announcer stand because somebody took the ladder. I'm not supposed to tell that story.
I don't remember that one.
I don't either. Somebody took the ladder away. He was doing stunts. I see Cliff Happy's out here tonight, one of the greatest stuntmen in Hollywood.
Clifford out there?
Yeah, Clifford and Marguerite. I saw him on the camera. They didn't even know we saw him. But there's more stories. The story he told about driving. Canadians, there's 2 or 3 things they do too much. Speed and smoke.
I was sure drinking beer was going to be in there.
Hot beer, not just beer, hot.
Room temperature of the bat's blue.
For me, a memorable one is Houston's a pretty big deal, pretty big rodeo, and he won it as a rookie in '89. And then I saw him getting a ride-off with Billy Etbauer for $50,000 a year before, and the same year that he ended up exploding his leg. Was it Lunatic Fringe?
Yes, yeah.
He rides Lunatic Fringe. It's like 20 years later, 20 years after his rookie season, he comes back to Reliance Stadium, no longer in the Astrodome, in front of 70,000 people for 50 grand on the line, after having lost a ride-off with Billy the year before, and wins the whole thing. And when he said earlier that he was riding the best of his career at the time his leg broke, I would agree with that. He's made a lot of great rides over those years, but man, he was on fire.
I want to give you the chance to talk about Calgary Stampede a little bit, Rod, and the reason for the jacket and the big year.
Well, and I feel pretty fortunate. They just came out with these jackets. These are next year's the 100 Centennial, and it's going to be spectacular. I've just now found out a lot of the stuff that's going to happen in Calgary next year, and it's really fantastic. Calgary's always been cutting edge rodeo, and they've really changed stuff with the ranch. It's 50-year anniversary of the ranch. No other rodeo has their own ranch and breeding program, and the things that Calgary's done for the whole sport of pro rodeo, just by bringing the $50,000 and the Final Four format that's been used all over, and a lot of the things that make rodeo better actually started in Calgary and the people there. And so it's going to be a great year, and I feel pretty fortunate to get the first run on the 100 Centennial jackets. They look pretty darn nice.
And he keeps looking at me. There's a lady sitting right there in the same coat. Melissa, stand up real quick. This lady is one of the finest producers, coordinators, and she's been doing it since she was about 16, 17 years old.
She's only 20.
26.
Thank you.
She is producing the behind the scenes and the effects and all that happens. In the 35 years that I've been blessed to be a part of the Calgary Stampede, you have to understand that we've seen it there when it's 105, 54 Celsius. Oh, the Celsius thermometer only goes to 50, and then it explodes like his leg. But I've seen it 105 degrees there on a Tuesday afternoon and Wednesday, have it snowing straight down. Watched him row, watched him ride. One day in the mud, butt deep, and the next day with tumbleweeds blowing through the arena and dust. We judged the entire rodeo by the most gigantic Canadian flag, maple leaf flag. It's at the south end of the main grandstand. We watched that flag, and then you watch between those two grandstands, and you see it coming out of the south west of where those storms will come through. We can have 4 different seasons between noon, Calgary time, and between when the rodeo's over. Then we tear down the entire infield, everything, and move in the stage for the night show, which comes in on 60 sets of truck-sized duels, 600 young Canadians as volunteers, and they do the night show. And in between all of that, we have this thing called chuck wagon racing, and we'll put in 25 to 27,000 in the daytime 10 days in a row, sold out. And infield tickets are $400, and seats in the sun are $250. They put the wives of contestants and everybody where we can reach them with television in $250 seats. They make you go eat every day before you get there in a big tent, and then you have to go drink, what's that beer?
Labatt's Blue.
Labatt's Blue beer and other adult beverages when it's over. And then they take you to the airport, they come back and get you. They take you to the hotel, they come back and get you. They take you to restaurants, they take the kids to the water park. They do something. When you fly into Calgary during that time, the airport is lined up with 100 volunteers in white Calgary Stampede hats. They've got little white paint, they dip it in, and they stamp you with the C Lazy S, this brand. There is not a city, and I am a true American, born in Nevada, live in Texas. There is not a city in the world that can emulate the Calgary Stampede because it's born into them. Two things you do. You go to the Calgary Stampede and you play hockey. Otherwise, they cut your legs off and you live in a wheelchair the rest of your life in Saskatoon.
Well, I left a tooth in the arena the first time I went to Calgary, and I found out what 222s were.
Oh my God!
And they weren't even
aspirin.
Let me jump in here. Rod, just stay out here with us. Boyd, I want to talk to you. He is Univac, Uniblab of all the stats. He's unbelievable with what he does.
Yeah, there you go.
So there's a couple of topics I want to touch on quickly. But first of all, outside of the all-around title, everything else is up for grabs, Boyd.
Yeah, well, I mean, with $17,800 day monies, I mean, you just look. I mean, Casey Field comes in number one and then puts a show on like that, and he's putting distance, but there's so many rounds left with the average paying $45,000. It's way too early to look at any of the math. The one thing I'd point out too in the timed events is when you're riding the best horse, chances are you're going to place. And Trevor Knowles and Jason Miller are riding the best horse in the steer wrestling. And that's with all due respect to all the others. That's another Canadian horse, belongs to Lee Graves. Jesse, he's amazing, and they won split first. And when you look at the tie-down roping, you can just see the guys that you're used to watching win. And I'm telling you right now, guys, that Cody O wants another gold buckle.
I agree.
You better not bet against you.
Let me
Do
throw
not
out a
bet
couple of
against you.
storylines for you, just because it is up. And what I guess I wanted to say, Boyd, it's all up for grabs. Nothing is locked up for anybody outside of the all-around.
Absolutely, and even in the barrel racing, I mean, the way
Yes.
it's unfolding, you could end with it. You know, I mean, between Lindsay, Brittany, and Sherry, you're going to be able to, you can close the rodeo with the barrel racing because it's going to be that close.
What I want to do is have Joe, and I talked to you earlier about this today, just a couple of storylines, and let's start with Trevor Brazile. All the different things possible. This may be, for the National Finals Rodeo, the most storylines, the most fascinating things could happen, whether it's saddle bronc riding and Taos Muncie being the first, to win both the Canadian and this one in the same year. There's all kinds of storylines, but I want to talk about Trevor Brazile, all the things he could do, Joe, and just you comment on Trevor, if you would, quickly.
He kind of shot himself in the foot tonight with one of them, but he could easily win 4 world championships this year. The team roping, as we all have seen it, it's either dirt dag tough every night or it's a give me to win. Tonight we saw 5 teams, I think, go out of average. We saw legs roped. We saw teams be long. Trevor just went and knocked one down. But the team roping is far from being over. He's got a really nice head horse. It's going to be a scoring contest this week. It's not the same old be throwing over the chute. He's got the steer open. He won the steer open. He's got the all-around one. His calf open, he came up to me night after rodeo and he said, man, what was I thinking? Well, you got a broke barrier. 18-8, it's not going to help, but if he comes back and ties 4, 5, and 7 and wins 50, 60,000 and wins the 4th in the average captains to move up, we've never seen 4 buckles, like that, where he just came in with 2 of them locked in. 2 of them are locked in. He's already won 1 and 1's locked. So a chance to win 4 is unbelievable.
Another just an interesting thing, Billy Ettbauer's won 51 rounds here, and Trevor's at 48.
How many's Cody won in one event?
Yeah, 46.
46, I think, in one event. Yeah, before tonight?
Yeah.
I think. I thought it was at 44 or
It was
something.
at 40, it's middle 40s.
Yeah, and that's in one event. And I'm telling you right now, y'all, at his mental game right now and as pumped up as he is, I made a prediction yesterday. I said he'll win 105 or 106,000. He'll win 4 go-arounds, and I think he's your world champion. So there's 50 in one event. Billy Ettbauer, Cody Old, Trevor's won them in three events, 4 actually count the Heelan. But if you want to pick a winner in this arena, you pick Billy Bauer and you pick Cody Old.
And as far as events, I thought, especially the tie down, it's just so wide open and exciting. The other thing I thought was Cody looks like he's come into this deal in shape. Boy, how much weight have you lost since last year when you were here? At least 25 pounds. I haven't seen you in a year, so I'm just. But to me, Cody looks more trim and ready to go.
Well, let me tell you what he said in there. We were talking to kids. He sweats like, I mean, you get competitive and you get at it, and there's 4 or 5 of us that just sweat a lot. A couple of us had in previous lives may have caused some of that, And he just sweats running off.
Right there.
He's just in come over. He says, "Hey, B, guess what they just told me?" I said, "What?" They told me I look like I trimmed down. And I said, "Well, have you?" He said, "Hell no, but I'm gonna win."
I'm on the same deal. Nobody noticed I've lost 18 pounds because he's lost 32.
You look good.
64 years old. Yeah, Donnie knows my doctor. We're not going to go there, okay?
So are you going to tell him that Donnie's water broke?
I'm going to tell him Donnie's water broke. He lost 5 pounds on stage. But I want to tell you all something real quick. You can go any show, any place you
I love being a
want.
prop.
In Vegas, but when you come to a Boyd gaming operation and you come to the Gold Coast, what you just heard right there in about 9 or 10 minutes, you will learn more about every performance and about every contestant more on this stage than you will when you listen to Boyd and I all night, because we are limited by seconds and transitions and turns of how we produce this rodeo. You can't imagine the power and tension that's in it. You will learn more. What little you learn from us out there driving it, you'll learn more from, well, this guy is amazing. But those 2 men, and Dan's got the storylines and asked the questions. Boyd and I are just blessed to be here late as we're coming, sorry. But I want you to know something. Thanks to Jackie Ferrando's help in letting us in the back door, you can actually make it from the Thomas and Mack Arena in a rainstorm to the back parking lot of the Gold Coast Hotel at Boyd Gaming Property in 8.5 minutes. Now tell the Highway Patrol to kick my butt on that one.
If you let Rod Hay do it, 4.5.
I'm walking.
Don't ride with a Canadian, because every time they run somebody off the curb, it's, hey!
And since they did the bragging, and we're out of time here tonight, it's going by so quickly, and we have a lot of prizes to give away here. But Boyd and Bob, I tell you this every year, you two, this is the toughest rodeo crowd in the world, and you saw it again tonight when you're watching on television. They're sitting there with their notes and they're keeping stats and everything else. But I truly believe these guys add the color to this great palette of
These 2 guys
rodeo.
make the rodeo
No
in the
question
Thomas
about
and
it.
Mack.
Boyd Williams, 16 times for Boyd, 24 times. And I'm honored that you guys are here tonight, and appreciate so much what you bring to this. And I really think it's going to get exciting. It really is going to be very, very exciting. We had another question. Somebody wanted to know how long Donnie had known Herman Cain when they met. We'll get that tomorrow night. I want to tell you that we've got.
You have been the heel tonight, haven't you?
Yeah, but the check cashed, and so let's talk about the prizes that we have tonight. We've got a lot of sponsors this year. As you can tell as you look behind us, it's incredible. In year number 5, what National Finals tonight has become, and it's because of these men that are sitting on the stage. But the sponsors, it's darn impressive, isn't it?
Those boot barn people, they fell for it again, didn't they?
They're in.
The corporate execs are back there someplace tonight. And
Dan Stark is
I done been shopping there already.
Yeah, Dan Stark is sitting right over there from Boyd Gaming, and we appreciate so much,
Got him some
Dan.
business today because the guy that runs errands for us today left his boots in the cab.
Really?
Yeah, Hambo.
Yeah.
Hambo leaves his boots in the cab.
Well, Joe's trying to get to the TV for the production meeting and everything, and he nearly choked the cab driver. So
He let me out.
But he let him out. He put him out of the
If you
cab.
touch a cab driver, they will let you out without paying the fare. Trust me. You have to get another cab, but he will let your ass out.
Hey, Boyd did it last night. He turned a Chinese gentleman into an Irish driver. He did it last night.
Let's talk about the things that we have to give away. And here are the rules. You have to be here, of course, to win. All these guys will help us here with the prizes. It usually gets pretty nuts here. But let's start off with our first from the boot barn, as Bob was just talking about. We have gift certificates for the Boot Barn. And this first one, Donnie, this first gift certificate, as he puts on his spectacles, is going to go to